Hi everyone, this tour swing analysis is of Scottie Scheffler, the hottest man on the planet at the moment. Incredible run from having a great Ryder Cup to then winning 4 out of the last 6 weeks. Amazing once you kind of get the monkey off your back and all of a sudden he's off and running, got himself to world number 1 and he's just looking dangerous every week at the moment. So you might have seen a little bit if we play one of these swings through. You may well see in his follow-through a lot of talking points on the telly. A lot of people speak about how his right foot action, how he turns through. This particular swing on the left is him trying to draw a 3-wood on the 10th at Augusta. And you see that big sort of finish where he really kind of carries on through it. So let's talk about what he does and why that tends, or from my opinion, why that tends to happen. So setup, very strong, very good setup. Scottie's a big, tall guy. He also creates an incredible top of the backswing position where he gets a tremendous amount of stretch across his body. If you look into here, how on the right, his right leg hasn't really extended too much, but look at how he can get his hands almost, or left arm, almost to 12 o'clock on a clock face, okay? Incredible height in the hands, incredible amount of stretch. There's a lot of power built up there. Now for Scottie, he tends to use the power source, if you like, of kind of moving right and left. So it would be known as lateral movement, or swing catalysts call it horizontal force, okay? What that means is for him, he's going to have a hell of a lot of slide and push towards the target, okay? So he's going to drive forward, huge move away from where he was at the top of the backswing, which really gets him out in front of the golf ball. Now from here, most players would tend to block that out to the right. You'd also notice at the top of his backswing, he gets a slightly open club face position. Okay, again, big drive down, big push forward to this same position here. Now for me, he needs to now square that club face. If he's slightly open at the top of the backswing, he's had a huge amount of movement towards the target. He's got to find a mechanism to get that club to swing back round to square up without necessarily using his hands. So his hands would be one option. But what he does is this foot going backwards, okay, right foot dragging back and in, helps him create the rotation needed to get that club to come back from square. I don't know if you've ever played when you've played golf teeing off, your right foot slips behind you, you'll generally always hook it off to the left-hand side for a right-handed golfer, okay? It puts more pressure on the lead foot. The right foot going backwards creates a counter movement where the club whips through. Sometimes a training drill we do, I may have done it with some of you, where you'd stand with your left leg forward and your right leg back to try and help you get some release in the golf club. Exactly the same concept. So for me, what happens for Scottie, and the reason why he has this move, he's created a hell of a lot of power going back. He's then created a hell of a lot of shift going forwards. Okay, so now he's got to try and get out the way of that. He's got to try and create some turn. So what he does is he's got all of his weight loaded here because the amount of his hips is moved forward. Okay, huge amount of weight loaded on that lead side, nothing on the back foot. Now the back foot slips out and backwards to allow him to square the club up better coming through. And again, this particular swing on the left, because of how much that's happened, he's now trying to draw it. So he's trying to do an excessive version. He just can't stop himself moving forwards because of how much force he's created. So he just carries on moving through the shot. And you see that big move to try and get the club face to square up. With this drive, more of a straight shot, he's able to hold his balance a little bit better. Okay, so in my opinion, if you took that away from him, other great players who had a similar trait would be Greg Norman. Greg Norman was very much a horizontal or lateral mover to create power. Okay, and you'll see this by Scottie's belt buckle. When he moves, he has very little lowering of the belt buckle, but it really translates forward, and then he's got to square it. Other players like a Justin Thomas, who would use more vertical force from the ground, you would see their belt lower and then rise rapidly. For Scottie, he's going to push towards the target hard, push off of that right leg, driving him forward, and then he uses the kick back of the right foot as a squaring mechanism to get that club back to square. Okay? Again, like we say each month, it's about matchups. It's about what is functional for certain players. In my opinion, if you took that away from Scottie, he would hit the ball a lot further to the right and struggle to close the club face. Cool. Hope that gives you a little bit of insight into what I see that Scottie does. But some really good stuff. And again, the big takeaways from this is always making sure that you're not changing something for change's sake or changing something to be more aesthetically pleasing. You're changing it for something that's going to be functional to make that ball go straighter.